Good evening and welcome to the Town of Derry Planning Board meeting for January 3rd, 2004. We start our meetings with a Pledge of Allegiance. If you would rise and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a few housekeeping items. The primary exit is at the back of the room where you all came in the event of an emergency. There is a secondary exit to my right, to your left. If there is an emergency, please do not use the elevator because that will be inactive, and first responders will assist you if you need assistance. Please silence your devices at this point. And I need to indicate that the Planning Board continues to voluntarily offer remote participation. If any member of the Planning Board participates remotely, vote shall be by roll call. To attend this meeting using your computer, you go to zoom.us in your web browser. You enter a meeting ID 754-663-912. You may also call in by telephone. One of the numbers is 646-558-8656, same meeting ID 754-663-912. And if you are on the phone, you will do a *6 to unmute yourself when you've been recognized. You'll do a *9 to raise your hand to request to be recognized. And if you are in the Zoom app, you push the raise your hand button to request to be recognized. So at this point, I will introduce the board members and staff who are present this evening. To my far right is George Soros, Town Planner.
Good evening.
In the back corner is our new Planning Secretary.
Caroline Wilson.
Caroline Wilson,
Yep.
Okay. New to me yet. Our Town Administrator Representative, Mr. Chase.
Good evening.
Regular member, Mr. Healy.
Good evening.
Town Council Representative, Mr. Grenice.
Good evening.
To my far left is the Cable TV maven, Owen Provencher.
Good evening.
Town Engineer, Mark LaRue.
Good evening.
Alternate member, Mr. Fishman, who I will ask to be seated for Mark O'Connor's vacancy this evening, so you will be as a full member tonight.
Thank you. Good evening.
Mr. Feinauer,
Good evening.
Mr. Malaby,
Good evening.
and I'm Dave Nelson, the Vice Chair, sitting as Chair Pro Tem this evening.
Mr. Chair, for your awareness, we do have Mr. O'Connor seated and joining us online.
Okay, we have a member and Chairman, Mr. O'Connor, who is attending virtually. Mr. O'Connor indicated to me previously that he will probably recuse himself on the Ashley Drive plan because he is a direct abutter.
Mr. Chair, just
Okay, since we have Mr. Myers missing, would like to ask Mr. Malaby to serve as secretary for the evening.
Yep. And one other thing, Lisa Carvello, who usually does our minutes, Lisa's not feeling well tonight, so she's not even going to Zoom in today. She's not feeling good. So if you can just do your motions in the mic, so when she watches the replay, she can pick up the motions and the voice.
Yeah, I'll try to remember to,
Okay.
to recap who moved and seconded.
Thank you.
So at this point, I will ask Mr. Soros to step us through the administrative business.
Okay, we have three escrows. So the first one for 2401, it's addressed to the planning board. It's from Bridgeway Christian Church. The address is 148 Rockingham Road. It's a letter of credit. Action requested, please renew letter of credit number 49719-3, drawn on Enterprise Bank, in the amount of $7,387.20 for the above project. The expiration date will be December 12, 2024. And you see the letter of credit from Enterprise Bank signed by the bank, so staff would recommend approval and signature.
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby to approve as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Mr. O'Connor, do you vote on this issue? I do not hear from Mr. O'Connor, so he's abstaining. Next item.
Okay, second one, year 2402. Again, addressed to the John O'Connor Chairman. The project is Heidelberg Wedding Venue located at 140 Rockingham Road. This is the development for the wedding venue site that's under construction across from Rockingham Acres. Action requested, please amend and renew performance bond number 0826665 issued by IFIC Surety for the above project in the amount of $259,000, $70.40. The expiration date will be October 31st, 2024, and the insurance company, again, sign the letter, the performance bond, and staff would recommend approval.
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby to approve as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay?
Aye.
Is Mr. O'Connor, are you voting?
Aye.
He's voting aye. Okay. Next item.
Okay, last one is letter credit again, number 3 for the year, again to Mr. O'Connor, Chairman. This is Birch Street subdivision at the corner of 71 Birch Street and 3 Eden Street. This is across from the Dunkin' Donuts and the Rite Aid Pharmacy. Action requested, please establish letter credit number 824-10756, drawn on Haverhill Bank in the amount of $40,911.25 for the noted above project. The expiration date shall be December 14th, 2024. You have the letter credit signed, and staff recommends approval.
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenice and seconded by Mr. Malaby to approve as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, that's also unanimous. Moving on to approval of minutes.
I think you just, if there's any comments or changes, let us know. If not, you can make a motion to approve the minutes from December 6th.
Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections?
I move to approve the minutes from the meeting December 6, 2023.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby. I'm going to poll the board. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Grenice?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
I'll abstain.
And the chair votes yes. And Mr. O'Connor?
I'll abstain.
Abstain. Okay. Correspondence. I don't
We didn't have any?
think we have any correspondence this evening. So, do we have any other business?
Do you want to mention about your joint meeting with the zoning board
Yeah,
tomorrow
I guess I
night?
can do that under like
Oh,
chairman updates it, but
okay,
yeah.
that's fine. Yeah, I have no updates. Yeah, I have no updates. You've met Carolyn. We want to just officially, for the record, welcome her aboard. She's been a great staff member in the last 4 days, so
Yes,
we look forward to working with
a
her.
hearty welcome.
Yes.
As Mr. Cioris has reminded us, there is a joint meeting of the zoning board, the planning board, and the conservation commission tomorrow evening to act upon an application for special exception to encroach on the 75-foot wetland buffers in order to complete a project. And state statute, I think, requires that the board be notified. The part of the meeting that has to do with the wetland, the planning board chairs, so I will be there to chair that section. Everyone from this board is welcome to attend and see what goes on and ask questions. I would like to get a straw poll as to who plans to attend so I can let the zoning board chairman know how many packages to prepare. So who plans to attend tomorrow? Okay, that's easy.
I'm going to try to make an attempt to beat at that.
Okay, so just Chris and me.
Yeah, just,
Excellent.
and just for the record, this is for a house lot down in Colette's Grove that's in the prime wetland buffer. So when you work in that 150-foot outer buffer, it requires those 3 boards to give input. As David said, the chair runs that section, but the ZBA will actually vote up or down on the application.
Yeah, so the planning board is there to address planning board issues specifically with regard to the wetlands issue. And then we don't get into the other issues that may involve typical planning board stuff like subdivision and whatnot. And the zoning board, as Mr. Cioris indicates, they are the ones to vote because it is a special exception. Okay? All right, if you come, I will be happy to see you there. That's all I have. Okay, let's launch into our public hearings.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to give a quick overview, and then I'll introduce the engineer and the applicant. But this is a little unique situation. You've already seen, this plan was here back in the spring. It's all the same development, but we have to take it into 3 separate applications because it's 3 separate parcels. The first plan you'll hear from is regarding the subdivision. This was approved back in the spring, but unfortunately that lapsed. So they literally just resubmitted the application to do the 2 lots at the end of Ashley Drive. So for the new board members, 1 lot will have frontage on Ashley Drive as is extended beyond the landscaping place, and then the second lot will have frontage on Scobie Pond Road. So that will be the first plan. The second application will be an actual site plan for the Ashley Drive site. That's a 400,000 square foot warehouse building. And then the third application will be for a warehouse office building on Scobie Pond Road. So 3 separate plans. You'll have to vote separately. You have 3 separate staff reports. So if you want, I can go through the first one. You have to open the public hearing and all, the usual process.
Right.
Okay, so.
I'm just going to note again for the record that Mr. O'Connor, while he is attending remotely, wished to be recused from these plans because he's a direct abutter.
Okay, so for the record, what I'll do is let me give a quick overview on the first staff report, real quick. Again, we saw this, it was approved once, we recommend approval again. The applicant is Ashley Development LLC, the developer is Chris McCarthy. The address is 37 Scobie Pond Road and 41 Ashley Drive. The purpose of the plan is for a 2-lot subdivision located in the Industrial 3 District, as well as the extension of the cul-de-sac of Ashley Drive and the associated drainage. The planning board approved this back on May 3rd, 2023. The approval had expired. The applicant has resubmitted the plan for a new approval. 2 site plans will follow this application. All town departments have signed and reviewed the plan. There are no waiver requests. So staff would recommend approval on the subdivision. You have all the layout for jurisdiction and conditions of approval. So for the record, though, I'm going to turn it over to Chris McCarthy, who's the developer, and the engineering team is Carl DeBay and Tim Laporte, who are in the audience.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. As George mentioned, my name is Chris McCarthy with the Ashley Development LLC. I'm joined by my wife, Sharon, and we have Carl and Tim from the DeBay Group as well to answer any technical questions. So pleased to be here back in front of you tonight.
Okay, I guess my first question is, are there any changes to the plan since it was last approved?
Not to the subdivision plan, no.
Okay, so this is really just a redo because of expiration.
Exactly, and we have the same conditions of approval, so there's been no changes to this plan. So this one will be quick to go through and accept jurisdiction, but, start with that and then go through the public hearing if there's any comments from people at home as well.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept jurisdiction. I move to accept jurisdiction of the subdivision site plan before the board for Ashley Development LLC, PID 08017, 37 Scobie Pond Road.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Grady, seconded by Mr. Malaby to accept jurisdiction. I will poll the board. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Grenice?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to determine a regional impact pursuant to RSA 36:56. The board finds the proposal as presented at this time meets the definition of a development of regional impact.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby. Any questions on this before I poll the board? No? Mr. Chase?
No, I do not believe that this time that this meets the definition of a regional impact.
Mr. Healy?
No regional impact.
Mr. Grenice?
No, for the same reason.
Mr. Fishman?
No regional impact.
Mr. Feinauer?
No regional impact.
Mr. Malaby?
No regional impact.
And the chair will vote no region.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion and open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion is carried. Public hearing is open. Anyone who has comments, questions on the subdivision application, please come forward. And you'll have to give your name and address for the record.
Or anybody online?
Mr. Chair, we do have a couple of folks that have joined by phone. If we could describe to them that they can raise their hand by pressing *9, which is
All right, I'm going to remind the folks who are coming in by phone, if you wish to speak, hit *6 on your phone, and that will raise your hand. Once you have been recognized, then you can hit *9 to unmute yourself and ask your questions or make your comments.
Seeing none rise at this time, Mr. Chair.
All right, so, Mr. Chairman, seeing no one rotary dialing 6 and 9 and no one running to the forefront with their arms flying, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenier, seconded by Mr. Malaby to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, public hearing is closed.
All right, so I'm going to keep on going. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion finding of facts. The board finds the proposed plan provides safe and efficient vehicular access in the design and construction of the cul-de-sac extension meets the town of Derry regulatory standards.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenier, seconded by Mr. Malaby. I'm going to poll the board at this point. Mr. Chase,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mr. Grenier,
Yes.
Mr. Fishman,
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer,
Yes.
Mr. Malaby,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes.
All right, so, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to keep on going. If there's nothing from Mr. Mark LaRue on this, nope. No other questions. I move to approve pursuant to RSA 676:4, numerical number 3, expedited review with the following conditions. Comply with the Vance and Hines Brushland report, subject to owner's signature, subject to on-site inspection and town engineer. Establish escrow for the setting of the bounds, certify the bounds have been set, establish appropriate escrow as required to complete the project, submission of a 11/17 sheet, confirming fire prevention in the assessing department have assigned the parcel IDs and addresses. Obtain written approval from the planning director designee that the GIS disk is received and operable and in compliance with the LDCR section 170-24C. Charlie, confirmation from Eversource Energy that they do not consider the extension of the cul-de-sac to be a permanent structure located in their easement area. Remove the planning board signature block from all sheets with the exception of sheet 3, subject to the receipt of applicable state and local permits related to the project. Condition precedent shall be met within 6 months. Submission of the appropriate recording fees payable to the Rockingham County Registry of Deeds. This includes a $25 L-chip fee, recording fees for the Mylar, and the notice of decision.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Grenier, seconded by Mr. Malaby. I only have one question for the applicant. Is 6 months reasonable for you to do completion on this?
Yes, sir, I believe it is.
Excellent. Any other questions? Not, I will poll the board. Mr. Chase,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mr. Grenier,
Yes.
Mr. Fishman,
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer,
Yes.
Mr. Malaby,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay, you have been approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the record, number 2, okay? So applicant again is Ashley Development LLC, developer is Chris McCarthy. This one is for 41 Ashley Drive, at the end of the new cul-de-sac. The purpose of the site plan is for a 400,000 square foot warehouse office building with associated parking, loading areas, and landscaping. The parcel is located in the Industrial 3 District. All town departments have reviewed and signed the plan. There are no waiver requests. New Hampshire DES alteration of terrain permit application has been submitted. We have a copy of that in the file. Again, staff would recommend approval of the site plan application, and I'll turn it back over to Chris and the engineers to get into the details more.
Great, thank you, George. Mr. Chair, with your permission, given that these are 2 separate applications, I recognize, but same parcel and they're interrelated, perhaps I could just provide some opening comments that would cover both, if that's okay, as opposed to covering them separately.
Sure, well, with the proviso that we'll have to have separate detailed votes on each.
Sure, absolutely. And before I begin, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge and thank town staff, Mark, George, the entire committees that we've worked with, Highway Safety, Conservation, and particularly Bev Donovan, who was really the individual that's brought us here and put this together, this opportunity. So it's a great credit, I think, to the town of Derry, and I'm very appreciative for their efforts. As far as background, just to give everyone some familiarity with this project and the piece of property, this is the property at the end of the Ashley cul-de-sac. It goes all the way to Scobie Pond. It's 62 acres of land approximately, and it's in the industrial 3 zone. So this is a property that, we've done a great deal of work over the past year and a half now from an engineering standpoint, traffic engineers, economists, test pits, et cetera. We are very pleased with what we're putting forward and look forward to walking through the plans and the concept with you in some detail. The one thing that I did want to highlight, this land we think is extremely attractive and is valuable to our development plans because of its just exceptional location. Its close proximity to Exit 4A, the fact that it's the last buildable lot within the original industrial park, and it has all of the key infrastructure, town water, town sewer, natural gas, and electric. So it really does make for an exceptional site. Furthermore, it's both in the Derry commercial corridor as well as the economic revitalization zone. So we're very fortunate to work with this. We think it's a great asset for the town of Derry. So our plan, and I don't know if folks need to see the plan online, if,
Yeah, if we can bring up maybe the cover sheet to start with?
Mr. Chair, I don't have a copy of the plans, but
Oh,
We may have the thumb drive.
yeah, thumb
all
drive.
right, so why don't we
We have the
continue
thumb drive.
discussing
Sure.
while we're doing the techie stuff
Sure,
behind the
absolutely.
scenes?
So as I mentioned, it's a 62-acre lot. Our plan is to subdivide this, as we just covered, into a 7.5-acre and a 55-acre parcel. The idea with the larger parcel, which I'll call the Ashley parcel, we've worked with our abutters. We have one of the commercial abutters with us today, and we've worked with our residential abutters to devise a plan which we think makes the most sense and is an overall better product. We will be putting 23 acres into a conservation easement. The benefit of this is it protects some wetlands, and it also provides a nice degree of separation with the residential neighborhood that is off to our northeast. We will be looking on the Ashley site to build a building that's approximately 370,000 square foot footprint, and then it also has some mezzanine for office area, which brings the total building to 400,000 square feet. Class A, high bay warehouse. This is not an Amazon distribution center or a high traffic user such as that. I know that's been an issue that we've addressed with TRC, but I just want to be very upfront. As far as the plan and what we've done, and we'll see it shortly when it comes up on the screen, there are currently 3 existing right-of-ways connecting this parcel with the residential neighborhoods above us. So Old Coach and Arrowhead, as well as Don Mac, I think, are the 3 connections. We'll be giving up those 3 right-of-ways. We won't require them from the conservation land. Again, as I mentioned, it's approximately 23 acres. We'll also be more than doubling all of the required buffers. So by zone, we're required to have a 50-foot buffer. I think at our most narrowest point, we're still 100+ feet. Based on some feedback we had from some of the closest abutters on Don Mac, we have, throughout this planning process, we have slid the building further south to provide an additional 100 feet of separation between where the building will start and the property lines. We have changed our lighting design and hired, I don't know if it's called a light engineer or a lighting engineer, but we've brought on an individual. In addition to doing dark skies, we've taken the wall mount lights off the building or minimized them where they are required, and instead we've put lights on a pole aiming towards the building. That way, light does not kind of go on to abutting properties, or when the trees' leaves are down, that they're looking at those lights. So we've tried to be as respectful as that as possible. Further, we've kept all of the loading docks to one side of the building. I'll call it the industrial side of the building. Further, we're keeping all of our truck traffic to that side, so trucks will not be traversing back behind the building in proximity to the residential area. They'll all stay to the left-hand side, closer to where M&R Wood Recycling is on that side. So we did this, the cars, employees will be able to traverse around behind the parking lot, but the 18-wheelers, et cetera, will be restricted. They'll only be on one side of the building, and that'll be the side where the loading docks are on. We hired VHB as our traffic engineer. Obviously, the town's very familiar with them from their external review. So VHB provided a full traffic analysis for us. We did traffic counts. They took a look at the existing roadways as well as the pending access to exit 4A. We're fortunate with this location, Ashley Drive was built out to kind of accommodate and anticipate this kind of capacity, as does the light at Manchester Road and the easy access to exit 4A. The other thing I should mention is with this project, and we can get into the specifics of each of the lot, we did hire an economist to take a look at the fiscal benefits and what the impacts would be for the town. This is a piece of land that is really sat underutilized. It's currently, I believe, $14,000 a year in property taxes. The economist took a look at not just the property tax direct component, but also what the impact would be on municipal services. So I have copies of that report here that I'll share with you. The highlight is that it's over $630,000 in annual tax revenue with little impact on municipal services. Obviously, they budget in some for fire department, police, and EMT, but no school impacts whatsoever.
Thank you.
Mr. Sioris, is this something that was not part of the original package that we got by email?
Yeah, so you can,
All right, Mr.
Just for
Reese,
the
would you like
record.
to move to accept supplemental material for this hearing?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to add the fiscal review for the Village Center Properties LLC, Ashley Drive, that was just handed to us by Fergie Plan and Development, Inc.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, materials accepted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, my apologies for not including it in the materials. We did provide it during the TRC process, but I neglected to include it with the overall package. So again, this report, it takes a look at, as you're going through some of the exhibits, some comparable size properties and some other locations throughout southern New Hampshire, other industrial users by square footage, and taking a look at police, fire, EMT calls, and then kind of coming up with some averages. Some of them are a little bit more high traffic, so like a FedEx or a UPS location, there's a lot of back and forth, very high employee count, so those numbers will be a little bit of an outlier. But overall, you'll see that the expectation for emergency use municipal services is very low. And again, obviously, no school impact whatsoever. The final item that I really kind of just wanted to run through was the conservation component. So this is a land that does have some wetlands. We have gone ahead, in addition to filing our AOT application with the state DES, we have also gone through and had 2 meetings regarding the dredge and fill application. We have really gone to great lengths. We've hired Gove Associates as our environmental consultant engineering firm, working in partnership with the DeBay Group to help us with this plan. Wherever there are strong wetlands or higher quality wetlands, we've made an effort to put those into the conservation easement. We're not touching the vernal pools. We've really been very diligent on that effort. We have had several meetings with the Conservation Commission, including one extended site walk throughout the property. They were supportive of our plan and actually very complimentary of the landscape design package, which we've put together. So we do have further DES meetings. Hopefully, if we are fortunate enough to receive your conditional approval, we will continue working with Gove and with the state DES on our dredge and fill application, as well as any comments they have on our AOT application. And then the final thing that I would just mention as far as prepared comments, we have recently just received the VHB review comments back from town, and they were very diligent. They must have been working through the holidays, George. So we met with the debate group today. We had extensive discussions. We ran through all of their issues. We believe we can come back very quickly and address to their satisfaction and town satisfaction all of those items.
We're good.
Okay. All right, we have pictures. Sweet. Okay, I think you've probably gone through all of this, but if you wanted to point to anything on the overhead graphic and re-summarize anything of
Sure.
Chris, could you?
importance?
Oops, sorry. Mitchell, could I ask Chris, because a couple of the calls I got, could we go to the sheet that has the conservation land? Because I think you had a nice colored one, a green one. That way people at Zoom land at home can see the layout. Because that was a couple of questions I had received from the butters through phone calls. There was a sheet in there that had the conservation easement shown.
It's in here. I remember seeing it.
It is the third last page.
Third last page. Yeah, sorry, he's in the back cable room.
I don't know if there was a mouse to drive here.
All right, so for the record, it is sheet 79 of 80.
There we go. Okay, that's the one, Chris, that I told people that will be the one. If you could just give a quick overview, that'd be perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And thank you for setting that up. So this is probably actually, and I can readdress any comments or questions probably using this graph. So you'll see, and I'll just begin by maybe coming up Ashley Drive, the extended cul-de-sac, which we discussed as part of the subdivision. So that'll extend under the power line easement with Eversource. On our far right-hand side, you'll see the beginning of the proposed conservation easement. The higher quality wetlands that I mentioned tend to be on this side, on the right-hand side of this parcel between here and Old Coach Road. There's several quality ones. As part of the conservation easement, I should mention that there's an existing Eversource easement. That land obviously will never be developed, but it is a nice kind of trail system for wildlife, et cetera. So we do see some nice trails already kind of running through here. The conservation easement will then extend up and beyond to kind of incorporate the buffer zone, which we talked about on the north of the parcel going up towards Dunmac, and then back down around the back of the building, going towards Scobie Pond, and again, running adjacent to the Eversource power lines. That there is a vernal pool up there, which would be covered under the conservation easement. So in total, it's, I believe, I could read it up there, 23.69 acres in total of the 55 or so acre Ashley lot.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, excellent. Does that wrap up your summary presentation?
It does, and again, happy to answer any questions or go into any detail about any portion of it to your satisfaction.
All right, so Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept jurisdiction. I move to accept jurisdiction as a site plan before the board for Ashley Development LLC PID 08017 41 Ashley Drive.
Second.
Am I looking at the wrong one? Okay, so the cover sheet says 41 Ashley Drive, but the accept jurisdiction motion says 37 Scobie Pond Road. So is that a typo?
Which one is it? Did I read the wrong one?
No.
Up,
No, this one says
No, it
41.
says 41.
37?
Yeah, 41.
Okay.
Yep, and then
Yeah,
you
I
got
read the wrong one.
Nope, nope.
Yeah, so I move to accept jurisdiction of subdivision site plan before the board for Ashley Development LLC PID 08017, 37 Scobie Pond Road.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby. Is there a puzzlement question
He
here?
just said 37 Scobie Pond Road again.
That's the one you pointed to.
No, this one, Dave.
This one right here.
No, right here, this one.
Well, the two sheets we have both say 37 on the front of them.
That's,
Right here, this is the one.
so what's this? On the first public hearing, it says
That was the
PID.
subdivision. Now this is the site plan, right here. This is the one we're doing right here, and this is the one you want to read
Okay.
off of.
So I was right the first one.
This sounds bad.
I know. All right, so, gonna go back.
I'll
again.
second anything you gotta say.
All right, so, move to accept jurisdiction of the site plan before the board for Ashley Development LLC, parcel ID 08017, 41 Ashley Drive.
Second.
All right, it has been, again, moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I will poll the board. Mr. Chase,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mr. Grenice,
Yes.
Mr. Fishman.
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer,
Yes.
and Mr. Malaby.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
All right, so I'm gonna keep on going, hopefully I get this right. I'm gonna make a motion to, determination of regional impact pursuant to RSA 36:56, the board finds the proposal as presented at this time meets the definition of a development of regional impact.
Second.
Okay. It has been moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby. I will poll the board. Mr. Chase,
No, this site plan does not meet the definition of a regional impact.
Mr. Healy,
No, no regional impact.
Mr. Grenice,
No for the same reason.
Mr. Fishman,
No.
excuse me, Feinauer,
No, for the same reasons.
Mr. Malaby.
No, for the same reasons, Mr. Chase.
And the chair finds no regional impact.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is open. Anyone who has comments or questions, please come forward. Or if you're online, push the raise your hand button or hit the *6 button on your phone.
Seeing no one rise at this time, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, see no one running to the forefront, no one online, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Mr.
Can I
Grenice.
jump in? John O'Connor.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Connor. Please.
I just want to commend the developer for keeping his word to all of the abutters. Again, let me go back. John O'Connor, 13 Arrowhead Road in Derry. And to back up what he's saying, that on that conservation land, I can tell you there are bears, deers, and so forth. So again, I want to thank the developer for keeping his word. And I am fully supportive of this project.
Thank you.
And I blacked out earlier because I'm in an area where there's a lot of electronics. So if I missed something, I'm sorry.
No,
But
no,
again, I support this project.
We 100% understand. So having had that comment, I will then, did we vote to close the public hearing? Yeah.
No.
No. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All you opposed, nay. All right, the public hearing is closed.
All right, so there's no waivers, and I'm going to make a motion for architectural design regulations. Move to find pursuant to LDCR 7-85 that the application as presented demonstrates substantial compliance with the architectural design regulations. This property is located in the Industrial 3 District. It meets a medium-high level of compliance as outlined in Section 170-84. The goal of this district is to enhance the quality of the town's industrial parks.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby. I will poll the board. Mr. Chase.
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Grenice?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Before you go on to the next one, Dave, I actually had some questions that maybe I should ask before we get to,
Yeah, I do too.
okay? So let's pause in this, and I have a couple of questions. One, do you have any idea what the hours of operation might be for truck arrivals and departures?
Most of this, so the facility would have staff 24 hours a day. Most of the work would be done during the first shift, so I don't have exact time hours. What we can say is our development partner has indicated a willingness to kind of work with the town, whether when shifts start, et cetera. But I don't have exact, starting and ending kind of time shifts.
Okay, along that line, especially in the winter hours, given that most of these are going to be diesel-powered tractor trailers, it's common to leave them idling when the weather is really cold. Is that likely to be a practice at this facility?
I think there's a willingness from the development partners that we're working with to address that. I couldn't speak to kind of best practices as far as what they do at logistics places, but they've been a very environmentally good steward, so we're happy to revisit that.
Yeah, so I don't really know what's reasonable, but I do remember we had a much smaller scale plan where these issues came up. Do you remember, Mr. Soros, whether we put any conditions on those issues in previous plans?
Yeah, I think we said to monitor that, the applicant or developer would work with Bob Mackey and code enforcement to provide any data. I'm trying to remember, Walmart was probably the closest to the superstore when their deliveries. They did make deliveries 3 times, 3 shifts, I mean. So I think was try to idle the sound as best as you could and not try to have those vehicles or those trucks sitting there all the time, because that also abuts a residential neighborhood up there. But I think it was just to provide some data and reports to us. But I mean, I've been here a long time. Walmart superstores, the new one's been up there a solid 15 years. We've never heard any issues.
The only
with
one, I think the one I remember was the Benson Development Warehouse.
Which one, Dave?
On was it?
Rollins and Maple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was discussion about these issues with the abutters, and I forget what we decided. I guess as long as the operator of the facility is willing to, work with the town if there are complaints, that's probably sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, we get that all the time, and I don't want to speak for, Mark can attest to that too. Code enforcement will get calls on a smaller scale, obviously, but if there's an issue with the abutters, we always tell them, please call code enforcement or planning. We'll work with the abutters, whether it's noise, smell, lighting. We get that on occasion. People say the trucks are idling, and Bob Mackey will go out, code enforcement, speak to the owner, the idling of the trucks or the smell of gas, whatever. Most people are pretty good about it.
Okay, and my final question is as to the conservation deed. Who is that in favor of?
So the conservation easement will be drafted in favor of the town. We've spoken to conservation as far as how would they prefer that to be arranged, and I think they were going to defer once this was approved to town staff. So the conservation easement would be a recorded instrument, and as far as how it was structured, if the town or a conservation commission had a template that they'd like to use, I don't foresee any problem.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add to that, when you get to my staff report in the motions, I've included recorded conservation deed and a easement plan. So at that point, maybe we can add wording to that, just say, which we do all the time, subject to conservation and legal review by town attorney, and then they finalize the wording, and then we record the document.
That sounds excellent, Mr. Sewers. Are there any other questions or comments? Mr. Chase?
So to address some of your comment, any trucks now that are 10 or 12 years old can't idle more than 5 minutes, EPA standard, unless they're an emergency vehicle, fire or public works or something. They have a 5-minute idle limit built right into their emission systems in the truck, so that helps to ease it a lot. And the only other question I had, and I'm sure it was addressed in TCR, but I always like to ask anyway, on this roundabout that they put in, the center section of it, is that low curb so that semis that are trying to negotiate that to go to the left will have the opportunity, they won't be bumping up against a rigid curb, the slope, low curb, so that they can go in the center? It is? Okay.
Yeah, it's a wider circle, and there is a little small green space, but a lot of the directional is, signage is all painted. It's not like, it's all asphalt. Originally, there were different materials, but we preferred all asphalt for future maintenance and
Yeah.
just paint.
And it's low so that
Yep.
they don't have the standard 8-inch riser.
Right,
Granite curb, okay.
right, just on the outside rim.
Right, okay. No, I'm good.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Mr. Gradis?
I'll ask questions now. So it's 45 bays?
There'll be a total, I believe, of 50 bays and then some additional slips. We don't envision using most of those slips, so that will be temporary snow storage, et cetera.
How many businesses going in there?
Right now, it's designed for one. I mean, it could potentially accommodate more than one, but the idea is that it would be one larger user. But again, it would be able to accommodate perhaps two or three, depending on how you subdivided the building.
Any idea who?
I can't disclose who it is. I would say it's a Class A high bay. It's kind of, I guess we'll call it, state of the art as far as there's a degree of automation. So this would be like 38 to 40 foot clear height for stacking, et cetera. One of the items is that we have to kind of go through and get our approvals, get our signatures before we can sign up and have a commitment, but they'll be in front of the town in due course.
Okay, so basically it'll be a distribution type center then?
Correct. It'll be a distribution center, but not a mass Amazon, high volume, bringing large trucks in and small trucks going out. This would be something where it's kind of a logistical headquarters, if you will, for northern New England, getting distribution up and through Canada, et cetera, and using this as their base.
So there'll be refrigerant in there also then too, right?
No, we're not calling for any refrigerant at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments or questions from the board?
All right, so Mr.
Being
Chairman,
none.
I'd like to make a motion, read the finding of facts. Move to find the proposed plan does not alter existing conditions which would affect access to the lots, ensuring the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood remains unchanged as a result of the site plan. The proposed development would allow for the ongoing development and expansion of the town's industrial parks as outlined in the goal. In the 2020 Derry Master Plan, the development project would provide for an expansion of the town's tax base, provide employment opportunities, and bring in additional revenues for the town.
Second. All right, so moved by Mr. Granison. Who did the second? Was it Mr. Malamy? All right, any discussion? If not, I will poll the board. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Granise?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Well, congratulations, and,
Nope, I got one more.
oh, you got one
No
more?
support?
Oh, all right. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, so, so I know that we gotta add something in there, but before I read it, just thinking out loud, I think this is, before I read the approval, I think it's a great thing, huge for the tax base. And I think that you figure with the staff and the employees going up there, that's gonna bring more people to Derry, so they'll be going more shopping, more, going to the restaurants and stuff like that. So I think it's a great thing, great use of that site. We've been dealing with that site for a while. George and some of my fellow members who've been around forever remember the other development that was going in there, and so this is a good thing for Derry. So I move to approve pursuant to RSA 674:44, site plan review of the following conditions, subject to the owner's signature, subject to the on-site inspection of town engineer, establish appropriate escrow as required to complete the project, note approved waivers, well, there's no waivers on the plan, a recorded conservation deed and/or easement plan. What are we adding to that?
Yep. And review by town attorney and conservation commission for the final wording for the document to be recorded.
That to be added, obtain written approval from the planning director designee that the GIS disc is received and operable and complies with LDCR section 1702414C Charlie, subject to addressing comments in the VHB engineering report, subject to conditions outlined by Mr. Mark LaRue, Chief Public Works Engineer, email dated November 28th, 2023, to the applicant and the planning director staff, addressing technical items and comments. Conditions precedent shall be met within 6 months.
Second.
So it's been moved by Mr. Grenice, seconded by Mr. Malaby, and I'll just ask the same question. Is 6 months going to work?
Mr. Chair, my only reservation is we still have state permits with a dredge and fill. My concern is that working with DES, my experience has been it tends to take a little bit longer. We are actively in the process, and we've, submitting our applications. We've already submitted the AOT application. Respectfully, if it's possible to go as far as 12 months with the approval, that would be significant. We're going to move as fast as we can, but that's just out of our control.
Well, I'll float that to the board as to whether we want to grant that additional time.
Yeah, I mean, if I may, Mr. Chair, yeah, that would be okay, only because for Chris, we automatically give you 6 months, and then we automatically give you an additional 6 months. So at the
Okay.
end of the 6 months, you come in and ask for an additional 6 months, so that in theory is 12 months, but if you want to do the motion just 12 tonight, that.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to, the motion I made, I'm going to take out the conditions, I'm going to remove conditions precedent shall be met within 6 months, and I'm going to replace that with conditions precedent shall be met with 12 months. And if everybody agrees with me, I mean, you've been before us before, time ran out, so this gives you another 6 months. You don't have to come back in 6 months.
Perfect, I appreciate
Is
that.
that acceptable to the seconder?
Second.
Great. We'll consider that a friendly amendment. Any other discussion? We'll pull the board. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Grenice?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that's
One down, one to go.
We'll get this one right.
Just for the record again, Mr. Chairman, I have to do this for the record because it's a separate parcel. Okay, the applicant, again, is Ashley Development LLC. The developer is Chris McCarthy. The location is 37 Scobie Pond Road. The purpose of the plan is for a 60,400 square foot warehouse office building with associated parking, loading areas, and landscaping. The property is located in the Industrial 3 District. All town departments have reviewed and signed the plan. There are no waiver requests. Same thing, the New Hampshire DES alteration permit has been submitted. We have a copy in our files. Staff would recommend approval of the application. And you have my comments on the back for conditions of approval. You will not have to deal with a conservation easement because it's not on the 37 Scobie Pond. So again, I'll turn over to Chris if he wants to talk about 37 Scobie Pond.
Sure, thank you, George. Mr. Chair, so this parcel is the 7.5 acres on Scobie Pond. It is cleaner in the sense that while we do have AOT for a state permit, there is no dredge and fill, and there isn't the conservation easement. We've identified, this is a smaller building, much smaller in relation to the Ashley property. We've identified a great user, again, in large part thanks to the efforts of Bev Donovan. And we're hoping to move forward with them. Our intention here would be to move forward with this property while we're still waiting and working through the state permitting for the Ashley property.
Okay, is there anything that you would like to highlight for the record and for the TV audience in terms of this particular property?
Sure, so this property, this building is a total of 60,000 square feet. It's a 50,000 square footprint, and then some office and mezzanine above it. It was designed with a specific user in mind, so they have 4 bays and some outside slips and outside storage areas. Relative low volume. We've worked with highway safety and TRC, so we will be restricting 18-wheelers and truck traffic, so you're only taking, I guess, a left out onto Scobie, so you're not going right down past the power lines and into the residential areas. We also have worked with fire to provide emergency access through this parcel to access the larger building. That's a gated access component. So there's, I'm going to forget the name of the the component, the Opticom, that was the signal, correct, Mark? And knockbox, so that this would be a locked gate separating the two parcels, but in case of emergency, fire, EMT, police can access through.
All right, help me, is that in the same
Yeah.
thick package?
Yeah, it's in there.
You know what sheet it's on?
I just saw it.
sheet for the second building?
There is.
62 of 80.
62.
You can also see it on the cover
Excellent, thank you.
front sheet, the overall cover sheet, so you'll see it.
Okay. All right.
All right, so, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept jurisdiction. Move to accept jurisdiction of the site plan before the board for Ashley Drive Development LLC, parcel ID 08017-001, 37 Scobie Pond Road.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Greenie, seconded by Mr. Malaby. I will poll the board. Mr. Chase,
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mr. Greenies?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
The chair votes yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion determination of regional impact pursuant to RSA 36:56. The board finds the proposal as presented at this time meets the definition of a development of regional impact.
Second.
Moved by Greenies, seconded by Malaby. I'm going to poll the board. Mr. Chase?
No, this project does not meet the definition of a regional impact.
Mr. Healy?
No, no regional impact.
No,
Mr. Greenies?
no for the same reason.
Mr. Fishman?
No regional impact.
Feinauer?
No regional impact.
Mr. Malaby?
No for the same reasons.
And chair finds no regional impact.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Greenies, seconded by Malaby to open the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Public hearing is open. Do we have anyone in the audience or anyone online who wishes to address this plan?
Seeing none rise online at this time, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, seeing no one running to the forefront, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved by Greenies, seconded by Malaby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is closed.
All right, there
Back to the board.
no waivers. So I'm going to move on to make a motion, architectural design regulations. Move to find pursuant to LDCR 17085 that the application as presented demonstrates substantial compliance with the architectural design regulations. This property is located in Industrial 3 District and meets a medium-high level of compliance as outlined in Section 17084. The goal of this district is to enhance the quality of the town's industrial parks.
Second.
Moved by Greenies, seconded by Malaby. I will poll the board. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Greenies?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Before we go on, I think there was, at some point, a zoning district element to this package, or basically, I'm going to ask the question, across Scobie Pond, what is the district and the use?
These properties are District 3. The power line separates it from 4 and 3. So these two parcels are in the District 3 zoning district.
And what is across Scobie Pond Road from the 37?
That's District 4. District 4 is everything from the police station up Manchester Road to Walmart, Ocean State Job Lot to the Londonderry line. Scobie Pond Road is District 4. And then the power lines, you guys, Dave, you were here, they zoned it to 3 from the power lines, first set at the end of the cul-de-sac, the current existing cul-de-sac, up to the second set of power lines.
Excellent. I was just checking that there
no,
were no
that's a good-
buffering requirements for different
Because there
districts.
are some different uses in those two zones.
Okay,
Where the first one obviously allows retail, commercial, which you see on Manchester
great.
Road.
Thank you.
All right,
Talk-
I have before I move on, I have a question. I'm looking at page 78 of 80. There's a color rendering, front, right. I'm assuming this is the building we're talking about now, has the 4 bays. It's like blue.
Yes, that's correct.
Just curious, what the office side, what's that, like ephes or maybe granite?
So this is, yeah, the structure, it's a cement structure. I think it's supposed to give it the look and the appearance of kind of like a granite stone. The building itself is constructed, it's a structural steel frame, and it's got insulated metal wall panels, but they can be quite creative with, kind of the overall design. They're very efficient and easy to kind of put up and work with. But the idea is to kind of dress up the front entrance and dress up the office area.
Yeah, I didn't ask about the other buildings. I figured that's more like a warehouse, but
Yeah.
this looks like it has office space in it, plus like 4,800 something of square feet of office space. So I just kind of figured. And that, where it says the front elevation was actually, oh yeah, okay, so the back side, the rear, the side, oh, so the right side elevation would be the one you see driving up Scobie Pond Road. Is that correct?
So if you're driving up Scobie Pond Road, and
Heading
Kyle
north.
and Tim, if I misspeak, please correct me, you're going to see the front elevation is going to be on your right-hand side if you're driving up kind of from Ocean Lot, coming up that direction. So the back of the building, yeah, so you would see kind of the docks there on the right-hand side, and then the front of the building would be the top image. So the second image would be what you initially see, and then as you pass it, you'll see the front side as you drive by on Scobie Road.
All right, so, I think, so the front of the building's where the two handicap spaces are. I'm looking at page 62 of 80. It looks like that Scobie Pond, there's a drive comes in, there's a couple of handicap spaces, and it looks like there's,
That's correct.
so that is the front of the building?
That's the front of the building, correct.
Okay, all right, cool.
And then, so as you're coming up Scobie, and I may have confused the issue, I apologize. As far as where you saw the docks, you would, see that corner, and then you would kind of pass the front of the building.
Okay, all right, cool. Does anybody else have any questions before I move on? All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read the finding of facts. Move to find the proposed plan does not alter the existing conditions which would affect access to the lots, ensure the health and safety and welfare of the neighborhood remains unchanged as a result of the site plan. The proposed development would allow for the ongoing development and expansion of the town's industrial parks as outlined as a goal in the 2020 Derry Master Plan. The development project would provide for an expansion of the town's tax base, provide employment opportunities, and bring in additional revenues for the town.
Second.
Moved by Gurney, seconded by Malaby. Any discussion? We'll poll the board. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Gurnese?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Feinauer?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Does anybody have any other comments or issues? Mr. LaRue? Anybody on the board? All right, I'm going to move.
So before you actually do that, I'm assuming since you're going to move forward with this one more quickly, that 6 months would be in a reasonable initial?
Yes, sir.
period?
6 months would be, thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve. Like I said in the last plan, this is going to bring people to town and for do shopping, jobs and stuff like that, so I think it's great. I move to approve pursuant to RSA 674:44, site plan review for the following conditions. Subject to the owner's signature, subject to the on-site inspection of town engineer, establish appropriate escrows as required to complete the project. Note, there's no waivers. Subject to conditions as outlined by Mr. Mark LaRue, Public Works Chief Engineer, an email dated November 28, 2023, to the applicant and the planning department staff, addressing technical items and comments, subject to addressing comments from the VHB engineer report, obtain written approval from the planning director designee that the GIS disk is received and is operable and complies with LDCR section 1702414C Charlie. Conditions precedent shall be met within 6 months.
Second.
Moved by Gurnese, seconded by Malaby. Any questions or discussion? Not, I will poll the board. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Gurnese?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Feinauer?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your assistance this evening.
Good luck.
May I ask one last question, Mr. Chair? Do we require, and George, maybe this is a question for you, conditional use permit authorization as well for these two plans, for the site plans?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you very much again. Good evening. Appreciate your help.
Okay, thank you.
That's good.
And now we're on, I guess, to any other business or board comments? Anyone have any issues? Okay. If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Grenice, seconded by Malaby. All those in favor say bye.
Bye.
Aye.
Good luck, John.
Can I
Get well soon.
Yes, thank you, John.
Wish everybody